One of the really nice things about CLAN are the special characters. If you go to Windows, special characters, you'll see that there's a whole load of these that look quite familiar from Jeffersonian transcription. So up arrows and down arrows, which you can insert either by putting the cursor where you want the up arrow to be and then double clicking, or you can use, as I do, F1 up arrow or F1 up arrow or F1 down arrow, which will create them very simply. That's nice and fast compared to inserting them as special characters in, say, Word or something like that. Some of these don't really look like Jeffersonian transcript, so I tend not to use those ones. The ones that I think are really, really useful are the underlines and the overlap marking. I'm just going to talk about those right now. So overlap marking, you can see here, it's not using traditional square brackets as with a Jeffersonian transcript. It's using top, bottom, left and right brackets. And those are here. You can either insert them by double clicking, or again you can use these shortcuts, F1 square bracket, F1 close square bracket for the top line of your overlap, and F1 curly brace and F1 close curly brace for the bottom line. And that allows you to do automated alignment. So if you lose all of the spaces in your transcript, sometimes happens when you convert from one file format into another, you are able to automatically realign them. That's really handy, and I'll show you later why that's so handy. So just practice using those a little bit. Something else to think about when you're doing these kinds of alignments, this is very similar to Jeffersonian transcript. Make sure that you pad out the inside of that overlap marker with enough spaces that the top and the bottom ones match. So if this utterance is a little bit shorter, I'm just going to use spaces between the end of the utterance and the end of the overlap to make sure that that will look visually aligned once it's all organized neatly and automatically. Underlines are the probably most important and useful special character in CLAN. The reason I say that is often if you're copying and pasting from a transcript that you've done in Word or Pages or another piece of software that allows you to use software underlines, you'll lose those underlines when you convert into plain text. And a lot of publication workflows go into plain text or LaTeX or something like that. And so often you'll end up having to go through and check that you've not lost all of your underlines. You have to put them in one by one. It's a real nightmare, and you can have all kinds of human error. So for example, here, if you look at the Word version of this bit of transcript that I started this with, you can see that there are some underlines in here that are lost in the chat version. And that's because if I take, well, let's have just a quick look at the chat version. You see all right there does not have an underline A. And that's because if I take this all right, copy it, and then try and paste it into CLAN, I'll just put it on a new line, even though you can see I've lost that underline. Now, in CLAN, slightly confusing, you can still use the traditional Control U to underline, but that's not the kind of underlining that allows you to transport your underline into a plain text file. That's the Unicode underline. So what I would do if I wanted to make that portable is I'd put my cursor in front of the character that I want to be underlined, and then you can use, right down here at the bottom, is the F2 underline option. See that underline there? Or you can do it essentially by pressing F2 and then underscore in front of any character that you want to be underlined. Now if I copy this, I can then paste that into a plain text file. I'll open up TextEdit on Mac, or WordPad or Notepad on Windows. You can see that this is actually a rich text file. I want this to actually make plain text, so it's a plain text file. I can paste this, I don't lose my underlines. Whereas if I go back to Word here, copy that and paste it into this plain text file, I lose my underlines. So you can see why this is so important. If you've got those underlines done slightly painstakingly, character by character, but that's fine because that's how we do underlines for intonational variation in CA, then that's going to be portable. It's going to reduce the sorts of errors that you might make if you're trying to put all the underlines back in after they've been stripped out during the publication process. So have a go yourself, try adding those underlines, look at the Word file, compare that to where you're missing all of your underlines, and then add them back in. Try and find missing underlines, and then F2 underscore, F2 underscore, F2 underscore, F2 underscore, after each underlined character. Okay.